Tommy Fury is an interesting case. He acts like a pro boxer, talks like a pro boxer, claims he is a pro boxer. But how far can he really go in the professional boxing scene? Can he actually hold his own against better opposition and win a title? Or should he stick to fighting YouTubers and earning millions along the way? That's what I'm here to discuss. Before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe for more consistent, quality combat sports coverage. I'm trying to pump them out every day here, and I appreciate every bit of support I get, man. Anyway, a few days ago, Tommy Fury returned to the ring at cruiserweight against a 5-1 boxing journeyman named Kenan Hanjalic. While Tommy won the fight and most of the 6 rounds on the judges' scorecards, his actual performance was widely panned online. Yeah, so he didn't look great, his shots lacked any sort of sting on them, and he seemed too comfortable letting his opponent back him up to the ropes. Now, his opponent couldn't get their shots off on him when they had him in the corner. Usually they threw one punch at a time, and then Tommy would then just circle out. This Kenan dude was just too slow to catch Tommy, but what if he was fighting a Chev Clark or w.a.d.e? They would 100% capitalize on Tommy's lack of ring generalship straight away, and it wouldn't be a pretty sight. Round 1 of Fury's comeback fight is exactly the same as the last round. Tommy on the back foot, flicking the jab out, scoring points and clinching when his opponent gets in too close. The amount of holding was getting excessive by the second round, and then it just kept on going until the end. It really stunk the place out. Like I said before, fans were not happy with Tommy's performance. I didn't think he looked awful or anything. He did what he had to do to beat a journeyman boxer after 2 years out the ring, but it's not a performance you'd look at and then say, oh wow, Tommy's a future prospect. Cruiserweight is notoriously a shallow division, but even then, Tommy would struggle to obtain an English title in my opinion. Let's just look at the previous English champion, w.a.d.e. Enough said. That is an incredible mismatch, and Vidal would run circles around him. I understand that Tommy is known as a pro boxer, but since his fights with Jake Paul and KSI, he's turned into a benchmark for the influencer boxing scene. He's the most skilled fighter that has entered crossover boxing, except for Darren Till, I'd argue, but his potential as a pro boxer is extremely limited. Why is that though? What does he do poorly compared to other cruiserweights? There's a few key areas that Tommy struggles with. Number 1, power. He doesn't have the most amount of punching power, and while that's not a deal breaker, usually boxers who don't hit that hard make up the difference with something else, with another attribute. Perhaps it's amazing footwork or genius level IQ. That leads me into my next point. Number 2, his boxing brain. Unfortunately, I don't think Tommy Fury's boxing IQ is up to snuff. An actual good boxer would have nullified KSI's jumping jack style with ease. They would have set up a stiff counter when KSI lunges in, and that would have knocked him out. Similar to the approach Jake Paul took when he finished Nate Robinson, ironically enough. Tommy Fury could never get into a proper groove during the KSI fight, and while he ultimately got the decision, many people thought it was a draw, and also a better boxer would have been able to capitalize on KSI's non-boxing style and finish him. Number 3, a lack of tough competition. I think both the Furies, Tommy and Tyson, thrive when backed up against the wall and are faced with enormous amounts of pressure. The most difficult fight Tommy Fury has had would have been against Jake Paul, and in fact to this day Jake is his most credible opponent. Anyway, the amount of shit Jake was talking and how every single day during the pre-fight build-up there was more and more pressure being added to Tommy's corner. John Fury saying Tommy has to revoke the Fury name if he lost, just for one example. I mean, Jesus Christ, his opponent should be pouring on the stress load, not his own dad. Regardless, the Jake Paul fight had very high stakes, and that was easily the best performance we've seen out of Tommy. He won near enough every single round, and right now, in 2025, he needs to increase the levels of competition if he is ever going to grow as a boxer. Oh, and I know that the Prime card was a big event with tons of hype and pressure for Tommy Fury, but I don't believe Tommy saw KSI as that much of a challenge. And also, the Jake Paul fight was way more personal, with a lot more outside factors cranking up the pressure for him. So where does Tommy Fury go after his most recent fight? He's had a warm-up against a journeyman, so his next bout should be against a more credible opponent, in theory. However, I kinda hope he jumps back into the crossover scene, to be honest, and bins the idea of chasing an English title, or whatever his team wants to do with his professional career. He will never be able to fight a w.a.d.e, an Isaac Chamberlain, or even a Chev Clark, and if he does, it would be a bad night in the office for him. So there's no point in moving up the rankings fighting bum opponents just to be fucking destroyed by a w.a.d.e. He has a big following that will tune into his fights, so why not try to make his fights against the biggest names possible, even if they are an MMA fighter or a YouTuber or whatever. I honestly thought that Tommy Fury vs Darren Till was such an inspired bit of matchmaking by Misfits when that fight was put on, and it's a fucking shame that it fell through. Tommy Fury being a regular on Misfits would have actually been great to see. It would have added a bit of a different flavour to the promotion, and I'm sure Mams would have given him some exciting matchups against, on paper at least, credible opponents. Darren Till, Chavez Jr., Mars Vidal. I believe Tommy belongs in influencer boxing. Paired with the right dance partners, it would actually be fun to watch on those shows. The fundamental problem with Tommy's pro boxing career is that he'll continue to fight journeymen and he won't up the levels of competition, and even if he does, the skill discrepancy between the true cruiserweight prospects and Tommy is gonna be way too great. I know I said before that the Furies rise to the occasion and tend to do well in high pressure, high stakes events, but an English title challenger is not even comparable to Jake Paul. He would lose, for sure, and then go back to fighting journeymen, back to square one, and it'll bore the fuck out of his audience. At least with the influencer boxing world, Tommy has a proper position on the chessboard. He's the gatekeeper between influencer boxing and real pro boxing, and he should embrace that. What do you think about Tommy Fury's career so far? Let me know, and I'll catch you down the road.